Hello, creepy creatures. Welcome to another episode of the Horror Ghouls, the podcast where we review horror movies in a judgy and sometimes comedic fashion. We are the Horror Ghouls. I'm Megan,
And I'm T.
and we are your cruise directors on this spooky boat of nightmares. You may be watching us on YouTube or listening to us on the streaming platform of your choice, and for that, we say thank you. We are happy you are joining us again, or maybe this is your first time, and welcome if that's the case. Let me ask you, just right out of the gate, we're going to start with a question. Did you ever go to the circus as a kid?
I did.
You
I
did.
did. Yeah.
Do you have any like fond memories of the circus?
I had
Or
a
not fond
very,
memories?
yeah, it was more traumatizing. I saw the headless lady, and there was a weird smell in the area where she was. And for whatever reason, I always associated that weird smell with a beheaded person. And so it freaked me out for like years whenever I smelled that weird smell.
So, what I'm going to say to that is, what the hell kind of circus were you going to where there was a headless lady? That's my question first, because what was that, like a sideshow extra
Yeah,
part?
yeah.
Okay. Because I was like,
It was
I
like
don't see any
a
headless lady by the
circus.
elephants.
It was like a circus fair at the same
Oh,
time.
okay. I like
Yeah,
those. I like those. Okay.
yeah.
That memory will certainly stick with you. And that
Just a little bit.
was it like the fog machine smell?
I think it was, to be quite honest.
That is a
Yeah,
very like pungent
yeah.
smell. Okay. All right. Well, interesting. I'm glad we're starting off with interesting things. Um, so listeners, how about you? Have you been to the circus? The big top, the animals, the acrobats, the popcorn, even yes, the clowns. The clowns entertaining children or scaring them if you are or were a child with a clown phobia like myself. Tonight's episode helps us answer the question, what would happen if the circus came to town, and when they did, instead of entertaining clowns trying to put a smile on everyone's faces, they actually just tried to take out the whole town in a cotton candy massacre. What would happen if the clowns were actually killer clowns? And let's take it even one step further. What if they were killer clowns from outer space? Now, if I knew how to insert a musical cue right here, I would do it. So we are, of course, talking about the 1988 cult classic comedy slash horror slash sci-fi masterpiece known as Killer Clowns from Outer Space, directed by Stephen Chiodo. I think I'm saying that right. I hope. Um, this movie, it has everything. It has cheesy 80s goodness. It has clowns. It has crazy straws. It has popcorn bazooka guns, clowns, corpse marionette puppets, big clowns, cotton candy corpse cocoons, small clowns, weirdly shaped clowns, more clowns even after that. So you kind of get the idea. You get where this is going.
It's something for everybody.
There's some kind of clown for everyone. Um, yeah. So, I mean, I built it up enough? Do you think, are you ready? Are you ready to get into this magical adventure?
I'm ready to go into the tent. Let's get the
Oh,
circus
oh,
started.
God almighty. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. So, a beautiful theme song takes us to the opening, and it's aptly titled Killer Clowns by the Dickies. We have all the beauty and charm and hustle and bustle of a small town on a Friday night. We meet Officer Mooney, who seems like a very serious police officer. He is, I don't know, he just seems not to really like people or children or whatever. He's kind of a jerk. And he's on the lookout for troublemakers. So it's a quiet night, but he like no, he's ready. There's something, he knows it, and he's gonna find it. And he just makes it known by radioing his station that he's gonna go check out the park. So we basically head to an old-timey lovers lane type scenario at a place called Top of the World. So it's like up on a mountain, kind of on the edge of the woods or whatever, where people are boozing it up and kissing in cars, etc. We see, to me, now maybe not to regular people, I called it a creepy ice cream truck because there's a clown on top of it.
Yeah.
A regular clown, not a killer clown, which maybe they all are, we don't know. But and this is piloted by Rich and Paul Terenzi. I always want to say Tarazi, but it's Terenzi. And they have rolled up hoping to unload some ice cream while saying gross suggestive messages through their speaker system. They don't seem super popular with this group. People are like yelling at them and throwing, I don't know what they were throwing, like shoes.
Yeah, it was like
Whatever.
shoes and bottles and
Yeah, they're like, get out of here. Um, and we see also that Rich and Paul actually have two ladies they seem to have lured into the back of their ice cream truck with promises of popsicles, etc. I did not catch their
Yes.
names. I think you said their names. Was it?
Stacy and Tracy.
Of course, there's Stacy and Tracy. So they kind of just let it be known, these ladies. They're like, whatever you think is going to happen with us in your truck is not going to happen. And just take us home and whatever. So we
And
never see them again.
I do want to say something about this.
Please.
They promised them ice cream, and these ladies happen to be a little fluffy, okay? Not all fat people like ice cream. We can't all be tricked to go into an ice cream truck for
No,
all the ice cream we can eat because that's what they promised them. All the ice cream they can eat.
I agree with that. But I will say, if you do have a taco truck, like I could
Oh
possibly
yeah.
be persuaded, maybe. Maybe.
Listen,
It
listen.
depends. How
Give
hungry
me
am I?
give me some birria tacos
Yeah.
and I'm there.
You're like, for free? Okay. I love that. Okay. So we meet some of our main characters. We have Debbie and Mike, who are dating. They're hanging out in the trunk of a car. It's like open. They're looking at the stars and they see something massive fly overhead. Is it a spaceship? Is it a meteor? We don't know. At the same time, an old man named Farmer Gene is shitting. Wow. Cursing already. He's sitting, he's not doing anything else. Gross. On the porch of his shack with his dog, who is named Pooh, which is weird because we just covered a Winnie the Pooh movie, and
Yes.
I'm not ready to hear that name for quite a while. So he sees the same thing. He believes it's Halley's Comet, and he goes off to investigate. So in a clearing, he sees an enormous circus tent and is confused, like, what's this doing out here? But he's overjoyed, and he continues on to the tent with his dog, Pooh. And he's hoping to get some free passes to the circus.
Which that is so weird. It's like it's
Yeah,
the middle of the night and he had his bucket, he had his shovel, he had Pooh Bear with him.
but like, why are you bringing a bucket and a shovel to the
Well,
circus?
I think because he thought it was Haley's Comet, he was going to collect some like moonstones or something. But my whole thing is once you saw it was a circus out there, why would you be like, "Hey, let's get some tickets?" It's like late at night. Do you really think that you're
Yeah,
going to be able to get tickets right then even still?
that's a
The
good point.
like
Well, so they're going up and they're looking around and they can't find like an opening to the tent, but he's like insistent. So he continues to walk around it looking for a kind of like a ticket booth or an opening. And his dog is right behind him. And we see it kind of is lit from inside, that as they're walking, there's a silhouette inside the tent following them. That looks clownish, we'll say. So an opening just appears in the tent and a net is thrown out, capturing the dog. Farmer Gene doesn't see this in the moment, but he turns and he's like, where's my dog? And he gets upset. He punches the tent. He gets electrocuted at one point, which he's not having a good time. And then suddenly a large clown appears and shoots him with this cartoony like ray gun thing as he laughs. And this clown is Jumbo the clown. He's like our main clown guy. Now, when I say clown, it's not what you're thinking, unless you've seen this movie before, and then it's exactly what you're thinking, and maybe a
mm.
little worse than you remember. It's like a, I don't know. It's almost like a like bloaty, like smushy looking clown, like a marshmallow clown. I don't know. I'm not doing a good
Yeah.
job.
No, it's hard to describe
It's
what
not
they
like a
look like.
human clown as we
Yeah.
see them, but it's different and they're weird. So anyway, um, then we go kind of back to the police station. Officer Mooney has brought in two young punks, quote unquote, he caught boozing it up in the park. And that's when we also meet Officer Dave. Dave is younger and not as jaded and spicy as Mooney. So we go back to Debbie and Mike now because they want to see what's going on with the circus tent, right? They're trying to find where the comet landed, so they don't know it's a circus tent yet. So they come upon it, and Debbie immediately is like, there's something wrong. But Mike wants to investigate, so they just go
Which
anyway.
was weird because when they were at the top of the world, she was the one pressing to go look. And as soon as she saw that it was a weird clown tent, then she changed her mind. But it's like if you weren't so nosy in the beginning, you wouldn't be over there because he wanted to stay and make out with you, girl.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I mean, if it's like a shooting star, maybe it's cool. Like, I don't need to see where it landed,
no.
you know. But if it's a circus tent, I am not I'm not interested, certainly. So when they go up, they actually find the opening to the tent right away, but it's dark and they just go in. They just go into this dark tent. It's not a all alarming or anything. So when they go inside, we have super cartoony decor, like very 90s Nickelodeon Studios kind of
Yeah.
like bright colors and stripy things. And the insides of this entire place do not look like a circus tent or circus in any way. It's just kind of like a weird, I don't know, just
Yeah.
a weird structure with halls and doors and such.
It's funny because he actually he calls it the New Wave Circus Fantastique, and then he's like, it's Circus Bizarro. And he starts naming like all the shows you might see at this place. What was weird to me, because he talks about like Miss 50/50, who is half man, half woman, Gumbo the toothless elephant.
Oh,
What messed me up was the last person he mentioned, Belinda the bulimic wonder. She'll binge and purge right before your eyes. Now, sorry, trigger warning for people. That is so weird to me. Like,
yeah.
the movie is kind of showing you at this point. There's definitely a time difference.
Oh, yeah. No, there are certainly things in this movie that did not age well. Not that they ever should have been a part of it to begin with, but it's definitely a movie like of its time in 1988. So
Yeah.
that's very apparent. So I mean, aside from the decor, like that, when you see that, you already like know that there's probably some weirdness afoot. Like we're like, okay. So they're walking around this place and they see these like gadgets and tubes and things around, and they don't run into anyone. They're just trespassing in this strange place. They continue to look and they see kind of these almost like elevator type doors, but they don't open regular. They kind of turn. So Mike just starts pushing the buttons because he's a smart guy, and that's what you do. They fall through the door and they wind up in this kind of expansive, endless, like vertically enormous place. And it kind of almost had like Frankenstein type electric gadgets. That's what it reminded me of, like the electric, like the bulb and
Yeah.
such. So they're questioning, are we in a nuclear power plant? Like, are we Debbie's like, are we in a shooting star? Like, what happened? So they wind up in the main area again, and they hear someone approaching. In an effort to hide, they go through another door, and they wind up in another very large room. This one is full of giant cotton candy like pods. There's also some kind of popcorn popper like in the foreground, I noticed. And Debbie is freaking out, but somehow believes she's like, we are in a UFO. I don't know if I believe in UFOs, but if they exist, like we're in one right now. So Mike takes a swipe at one of the hanging cotton candy things and sees that it contains a bloody corpse.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's of his friend. And you just said his name before, and I'm going to say it wrong. What was it?
It was Joe Lombardo.
I was going to say Joe Esposito. I don't know where that came from. Joe Lombardo. And he's like, oh my gosh, Joe Lombardo is in this cotton candy thing. So um, after he does that, a door opens, another clown appears. This is Rudy. Welcome, Rudy, everyone. So Rudy is carrying another cotton candy corpse cocoon, which is obviously what they are at this point. And Mike, at this point, he causes something to fall, and that alerts Rudy to their presence, and a chase ensues, right? So
Yes.
he has a popcorn gun, which he fires at them, which is kind of fun. That's kind of a fun thing. So Mike and Debbie escape. They manage to escape before anything bad happens to them. But Rudy is joined at the entrance by his friend Spiky. So we meet another new clown. Um, Spiky has a little special talent. Spiky has a magical gift where he can make a balloon animal dog that acts like a real dog. And he uses this balloon animal dog to track Mike and Debbie. So it's like sniffing after them like a bloodhound. So that's interesting. So Mike and Debbie happen to get back to their car just as these clowns emerge from the woods. They manage to drive away, but not before yet another clown jumps onto their car and he falls off. This is Bibbo the clown. So I hope you're keeping notes, everyone. We got a lot of effing clowns. Um, and there's a bunch, but don't worry, there's so many more. We then get the very special treat of seeing a bunch of clowns from the big top slowly, creepily make their giant clown shoe strides towards the town. That's
Yes.
where we get our first sighting of Shorty the clown, who seems to be the most recognizable clown from this movie. That's kind of the one you see on like the most merch and whatever. So Mike and Debbie have headed right to the police station, and they pull up on Officer Dave, and they just start recounting the story, and it sounds crazy, and people are dead and they're wrapped in cotton candy cocoons, just normal everyday things, regular things. So Dave has them come into the station so he just can hear the whole story. So while that's happening, Rudy is just now, he's in the town, he's walking down the main drag, and he sees people coming. So he sees in front of this pharmacy, there's an animatronic gorilla. So he's like, oh, I know what to do. And so he's doing his animatronic clown clown thing until the people go into the store. So back at the police station, Debbie is trying to explain what her and Mike experienced from the beginning to Officer Dave. Mooney hears this about like where they were, their park and whatever. And he's like, I was over there. There's nothing going on. He also just calls Debbie a tramp for no reason.
Sure does.
So he's got some other stuff going on. Like it's not, she's like, listen, this can't be about me, right? There's something going on at home for Mooney, maybe. We don't know. So at the police station, as Debbie and Mike are telling their story, it becomes apparent that Debbie has a history with Officer Dave. It turns out this is her ex-boyfriend. So that's probably awkward. Like you're on a date, something happens, and you just like run right back to your ex-boyfriend with your date. It's
Yeah.
probably not great. So in this moment, Mooney remembers Mike, and he's like, "Oh, I know you. You're friends with the Terenzi brothers." And he also calls him a little fart for some reason.
Did he? I didn't notice that.
He was like, "You little fart," and I'm like,
Oh wow.
"Why? Why? I don't know."
That was nice.
It's just, it's like a weird insult, but it's whatever. So Mooney believes that this clown business is a scam for the Terenzi brothers to sell more ice cream from their truck because they have that like
Mhm.
clown themed truck. He doesn't want any involvement. He also says nobody's going to make a dummy out of him, which might be just a little bit of foreshadowing. We're going to see what happens. So in a gazebo in the park, one of the kind of like teens, I guess, from town happens upon a puppet show and stops to watch. Now, I'm going to say just this one thing before I continue. There's no one else watching the puppet show. My advice to you is if you happen upon a puppet show and nobody else is watching it, probably leave. That's all I'm going to say about
Yeah,
that.
that was almost one of my closing remarks. Almost. I almost literally said that exact thing.
It's just not, it doesn't make sense,
No,
right? Like, are
it
they,
doesn't.
it doesn't make sense. So, anyway, the puppet show ends with Spiky the clown revealing himself. He was the puppeteer all along, and he shoots his like ray gun at the kid, encapsulating him in cotton candy. So that's for the
Yes.
most part what they do with their little ray guns.
And
So,
I do
yeah.
want to mention right fast, this
Oh, yeah,
movie
yeah.
has a lot of references. And so the cotton candy cocoons are actually a reference from the 1956 movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, I'm going to be quite honest. Most of the movies that are referenced throughout this movie, I have not seen. I may have seen like one or two. And so it's like, okay, I can understand why they're saying that reference. But a lot of these other ones, I don't know why. But
You're like, I
I
don't know.
will interject every so often to let you know what they were referencing when they made this movie.
Yeah, I think that's great. We want to know, we all want to know
Yeah.
everything. I'm going to speak for everyone who's listening and watching right now. Uh, so back at the pharmacy, Rudy is inside the pharmacy. He just doesn't care about the people anymore. And he's not afraid of the pharmacist, Mr. Myers, who is freaking out a bit, but he's too scared to do anything about it. So
Yeah.
Rudy has already turned a few people into cotton candy cocoon corpses. He's just doing it. And then he proceeds to make a huge mess in the store. He's like, ooh, band-aids. Like, I don't know. He's just going through stuff. So Debbie, Mike, and Officer Dave are driving in Dave's police car. Mike and Dave are going to go back to the tent. Debbie wants to go too, but Dave doesn't think this is safe, and this leads Debbie and Dave to argue. Dave confesses he still has feelings for Debbie, and poor Mike is just in the back, like, what is even happening right now? Like, what? He's like the third wheel to his own date. So that's not great.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
dur- eh,
funny. Wait, it's so funny because I think that's the part where he's like, yeah, it's clear that she prefers like funny over serious or something like that, or funny over stable. And he either says that when Debbie's still in the car, or he says it later on when it's just him and Mike.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like That's odd. That's awkward. Mind you, he won't let Mike sit in the front seat either. He's keeping
Yep.
him in the back because
Oh
he's
yeah. No.
jealous ex-boyfriend.
Absolutely. He is not having it. Also, he is better looking than Mike. I'm just gonna say that. So
I mean, Mike's last
sorry.
name is Tobacco, so yeah.
What
Okay.
just Mike Tobacco? Like
That's such a
really?
weird name.
They were just driving. They're like, what do we name this character? And they just saw like a drive-in cigarette place, and they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, I know. It's
Tobacco.
silly. That's silly. So after that happens, we kind of get a few just like snippets of what's going on in the town. So we see a lady now. When in my research, in my credits, it said Tracy was this lady. So maybe there's multiple Tracys. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, we never see her again after this, so it's inconsequential. But her doorbell goes off, or someone knocks on her door. I don't know. And Bibbo, the clown, is just standing there and kind of mumbles out like pizza. He's like, pizza, whatever. And Rudy and Chubby, who I've selected as my personal favorite clown in this movie and also my boyfriend's. They're there together. So that's the first time we see Chubby. And we also get a surprise from Shorty, who pops out of the pizza boxes. Shorty then gets the lady with the ray gun and turns her into, you guessed it, a cotton candy corpse cocoon.
Yep.
Then in another part of town, we see another resident, Mrs. Franco. She hears her doorbell and she opens the door, and we meet Fatso the clown, who is not as handsome as Chubby the clown. I'm just saying. He hands the lady a chocolate Valentine's Day heart. And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's excited, and then he shoots her with the gun, and we know what happens at this
It's
point.
so
So
funny in that part too, because she turns to her husband and goes, Did you get this for me, Jim? And Fatso gets mad. You can like his face, he's like, Oh no, I got this for you, ho. Like
it's
what?
like, you rude bee, you
Yes,
ingrate.
right.
You know what's funny too is like one of the things that's funny to me about this whole movie is that no one ever questions these mutant clowns' appearance. Like they just take them as
Right.
regular clowns and they look nothing like regular clowns. They
No.
look like mutant clowns. Like it's, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, so Dave has dropped Debbie off at home. Her and Mike have an exchange outside the car where, again, she wants to go. He's like, stay home, whatever. So Mike is also a little worried about how Dave is going to treat him given that he's her ex, and he has good reason to feel like that from the things you just mentioned. He doesn't let him sit in the front seat, anything like that. We do get more clips rather of Shorty now has joined Rudy in tearing up the pharmacy. They're just going through stuff. The pharmacist is still there. He's okay. Like he's chilling.
He's just
Um,
scared.
he's scared, but like he's unharmed.
Yeah.
We then get at a biker bar in town. A rowdy crew is hanging out outside. Behind them, Shorty has ridden up on his tricycle. He has a little tricycle, and the bikers are being jerky to Shorty. One
They
of them
are.
breaking his bike. It was very
That's
sad.
that was Slug. So
Of course, his name was Slug. It's
yeah.
disgusting.
So here's what's weird about that part, that scene. There's nobody credited for that scene except for three of those bikers. One is Slug, who is the man who breaks the tricycle. Sheila, the person who Slug was like hugging up against. And then the man who spoke first happened to be a black man, and he's credited as Black Biker.
No,
And
no,
that's it. So Slug and Sheila got a name, but Black
really.
Biker is just Black Biker.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
And
Like if you're
nobody
gonna,
else was credited.
so I've noticed too, like the punks we talked about before, they're credited as Punk 1 and Punk 2.
Yes.
If you don't want to name the characters, it's okay, but don't name two of them and just leave
Yes.
one
And
extra based on what he looks like. That's
right.
crazy.
Because they could have
That's so
named them like
crazy.
Leonard or Jerome or something. He looks like a Jerome. So you could have just named them
Yeah.
Jerome, but Slug, Sheila,
Or you could have named him Jerome, or you could have named him Biker number 3, and the other two are Biker 1 and
Biker one
2.
and two.
It could have
Exactly.
gone either way, and you did both things, and you're wrong. So that's lovely. Shorty is also incensed by this madness. I'm just kidding. He doesn't know that that's going on, but it's not okay. So Shorty is upset about his bike, and he conjures, I imagine, because I don't know where they come from, some boxing gloves. And the biker, Slug, we know, continues to tease him, and Shorty just straight up decapitates him with just a single punch. His head
Mm.
goes flying off into the trash
Well,
where it belongs.
I mean, he asked for it. He said, "What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?"
Yeah,
And he
and
did.
he did. He
So
sure did. The other bikers are immediately like, "Oh no!" They don't want none of that, so they just scatter. Um, so back in town, we see our old friend Jumbo. Remember, he's our main guy. Not to be confused with my boyfriend Chubby. So he goes and finds this busy restaurant called Big Top Burger because apparently this town loves clown stuff for some reason.
Hmm.
Where from outside, he plays peekaboo with a little girl. So he's sitting kind of out in almost like a little courtyard and he's doing like peekaboo and he's luring her outside while he's holding a giant mallet behind his back. Yep. And her mom intervenes. His mom, I'm like, his mom, her mom intervenes before she can get out. So the little girl's okay for now, we think.
Right.
So Mike and Officer Dave go back to the spot where the tent was in the woods, but it's gone. And all that remains is a giant hole where it was. And Dave is pissed and he cuffs Mike because he thinks he was just messing with him. So he throws Mike in the back of the car. They go back to the top of the world and they see it's abandoned, but there are still some cars and things scattered about, but no one's there. So Officer Dave investigates one of the cars and finds that the inside is full of cotton candy. And there's a pair of glasses that were left on the seat, like under the cotton candy mess. So Dave is like, okay, like I get it now. So he lets Mike out of the car. He uncuffs him, now believing the story. Like he knows what's going on. So Mooney, our favorite curmudgeon or something, he gets a call at the police station about the clowns. He still thinks it's a prank. He gets a call from Mr. Myers at the pharmacy about the clowns. And while he's taking that call, another call comes in. He places Mr. Myers on hold or kind of just sets it down. And the new call is about the clowns as well. So he's like, yeah, whatever. And he picks up the Myers call, but no one's on the line anymore. There's just like music or something in the background. So we're starting to see the clowns just wreaking havoc on the town. Another person gets driven off the road, another person, by another clown named Slim, who we're just
Right.
meeting. And Slim's riding like an invisible bike, kind
Yeah.
of. And he just drives this person off the road.
Which
Um,
there's some interesting stuff about that entire scene, actually.
mm,
So first, this scene, the person that's in the car was originally the what would I say his name? Joe Lombardo. Yes.
yes, that's right.
He's the original Joe Lombardo. And so this scene in particular, it started out with Joe making out with his girlfriend on that deserted road that they're on, and she doesn't want to go all the way, so she like rejects him. He gets mad, leaves her, and he's driving off on his own. He ends up running up against Slim, and Slim runs him off the road. And it was supposed to be some type of like bigger explosion, but they actually messed that up. So it just ended up being like really lackluster. Like they forgot to put
Oh,
they forgot to take like the stops or something off of underneath the car
oh
and
my
it broke.
gosh.
And so it made it like fall real slow and kind of like janky, which to
Yeah.
be quite honest, Joe probably could have survived that. But they made it be an explosion. And
Yeah.
so
All
the
right.
movie was supposed to start with that so that you knew who Joe Lombardo was. So that when we go back to that scene when Mike is like, oh my God, it's Joe Lombardo, when they first like open up the cotton candy cocoon, you would know who that was. So like him saying it earlier on, it's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So this is our little like glitch in the matrix where it's
Yes.
like they probably finished the movie and they're like, I can't care about it. We're over budget, like we're out of time. Like just let's just do it. It's fine. No one will notice, but they were wrong because you did.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I like that too though. But
You noticed.
yeah.
Wow. That's really interesting. I still want to call him Joe Esposito. I'll get it right one day. I'm working on my name recollection. I'm working on it. So Debbie, she's home, right? She goes to take a shower, and we see that popcorn has fallen off her clothes, and we see it move by itself on the floor in the bathroom. We also see a little bit later that the hamper where she presumably put her clothes starts to shake. So back at the Big Top Burger, Jumbo the clown is still kind of lurking around, and he has some kind of clown purse that's full of popcorn, which is a purse that I would like to have. Like if you just like snacking on the go. He puts a bunch of it in the dumpster. So a little while later, one of the employees hears a sound coming from the dumpster. He opens it and gets pulled inside, and we jump to another scene while we hear him screaming. So something's going on with the popcorn, right? So now I know this is the moment you've all been waiting for. More Slim, right? You want us to know more about Slim, right? So Slim has found his way to a bus stop. He is also holding a clown purse, by the way, very fashion forward. He sets it down and starts to do shadow puppets for the people at the bus stop. He's very thoughtful. He wants to entertain them. And he's making really complex shadow puppets. He's making like a bunny, an elephant. He even makes a dinosaur, but it then unfortunately eats all the people at the bus stop. He then takes this dinosaur shadow puppet that kind of contains all of these people now, and he puts it into his popcorn purse and just closes it and wants to go on his way. So
Yes.
that's interesting.
And this scene is a reference from the 1922 movie Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. And apparently in that movie, because like I have not seen this movie, there are shadows on the wall in that movie, and so that's what they were referencing
You mean our
with this
favorite
scene.
movie, our favorite silent movie that we're going to review? Could you imagine? How do you? I know it's possible. Okay. I know it's possible to review a silent movie,
Oh, it is.
but do you guys want us to do, like, you don't want us to do that, right?
Somebody suggested that, so someone wants to see us do it.
Who wants to see, by a show of hands? I need to see hand emojis in the comments. By a show of hands, who wants to see us do a silent film? I just need to know. Let's just
Hand
drop it.
emojis, thumbs up, 5-star ratings, liking,
We do
sharing,
accept
all
five
that
star
stuff.
ratings. We are
Yeah.
more willing to hear what you have to say if you do give us 5 star ratings and you like and subscribe and everything else you're supposed to do. I'm just putting it out there. We can be bribed. We can be.
With
So it's
tacos,
important to
as
note.
you know,
Tacos,
and 5-star
reviews,
ratings.
money, large sums only. I don't need $10. I don't need that. Large sums of money. So yes. And a popcorn purse for each of us. We each need a popcorn purse. So
Yes.
Dave and Mike pull up just in time to see Slim. They see what happens. And Mike kind of steers Dave into where Slim was standing in an attempt to hit him, but Slim has disappeared with his popcorn purse full of people and his dinosaur shadow puppet. So Dave, he calls the station and he's like, Mooney, oh my God, it's all real. All the clown stuff is happening. You have to call the state police. Mooney is like, get out of here, kid. You're trying to drive me out of the police force, like whatever. Um, and he's not helping. He's just gonna hang out. So Dave and Mike at this point, they decide to part ways. Mike spots the Terenzi brothers and he wants to just warn them and maybe start warning the town. And Dave's gonna go back to the station. So Mike does join the Terenzi brothers and he tells them the killer clowns are on the loose. They don't believe him. They're like, no, that's not happening. So Mike's kind of telling them the details and he's like, take me to Debbie's house. Like, we have to go there. All they care about, they're like, yeah, whatever. But does she have roommates? Are they hot? Are they hot roommates? Also, will they buy ice cream?
Right.
Can
That's all
we
they care
do
about.
they whatever? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So they just go. And back at the police station, the phones are blowing up. They are blowing up wildly. And Mooney is just over it. He's letting the phones ring.
He's too
Um,
drunk for this because he's been taking shots.
he's
He's done.
he's taking shots, mumbling to himself about how people
Yeah.
are ruining his talent, like whatever, it's stupid. So he's having a bad night, and what better way to cheer him up than just have a clownogram burst through the door. So Jumbo comes into the room. Mooney, again, no one's scared of this or questioning anything. This is a 7 foot tall, enormous, squishy looking clown, right? Mooney doesn't even question it. So Mooney does some clowny prank. Jumbo does some clowny pranks that piss Mooney off. He's like not
Mhm.
interested, and he cuffs Jumbo's enormous non-human hands, and he has like 3 giant sausage fingers. Some of them have 4 fingers. I don't know how many he has exactly. And he's kind of pushing him back to the holding cells, but Jumbo's hands actually come off in the cuffs, so he just like has the hands in the cuffs, which I thought was funny. And then one of the things I do think is funny, I don't like when they move slow and creepy, but I like when they do their little goofy things. I think it's funny. So he like gallops sideways down the
Yeah.
hall to the cell where the 2 punks from earlier are. They're in that holding cell. So Mooney tells Jumbo, he's like, put your hands up. And he puts his sleeves up and 2 new hands just shoot through the sleeves. And I thought it was cute.
And Mooney
Um,
thinks nothing of that. Like he's
no,
just like, oh, he pulled his real hands out. No, sir.
you're
He grew
holding
new
his real
hands.
hands. Yeah. So he unlocks the holding cell and Jumbo gets inside. Jumbo doesn't even really put up a fight too much. He's just like, okay. And he goes in on cuffs. Mooney doesn't try it again. So, but Jumbo, he tippy-toed into the cell, which I thought was funny. He was like, "Delete." Um, Mooney, because he's rude, he clocks him on the back of the head with a nightstick because he's a dick. Like, he's already going in and you're behind him, so you're a coward and terrible. Anyway,
Yeah.
Mooney throws some threats Jumbo's way after he locks the door, of course, because that's when you could talk big, is, there's a thing between you. Jumbo is like over it at this point. Like his eyebrows change a little bit where he's just like, "Hmm." So he takes out one of those like party noisemakers. I know there's like a better name for it. Yeah, yeah. It like unfurls. It kind of
Yes.
is like the Philly Fanatic's tongue, if anyone is familiar with the Philly Fanatic. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. But I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it makes
You guys
sense.
know if I haven't mentioned it before, like I like puppets and stuff. I also like really cute Muppet like mascots. So that does include the Philly Fanatic, and it includes Gritty from
Hmm.
Philadelphia Flyers, and it does not include Mr. Matt because he is not cute and he's creepy. So I just wanted to put that out there. So um Jumbo blows this device and it unfurls and goes through the bars and it actually turns into a hand at the end and it grabs Mooney around the throat and tightens and Mooney slides to the floor, which I was happy about.
Yes.
Um,
So I got another reference for you.
oh, another reference. Okay, I'm excited.
So when Mooney hits Jumbo on the back of the head, Jumbo doesn't turn his whole body around. He only spins his head towards Mooney.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so that is a reference for the 1973 movie The Exorcist,
I
when we
love
know
it.
our lovely little girl spins her head around.
Reagan.
Yes, so that is what they were referencing there, which
You
was
know,
interesting.
I heard that Reagan is Jumbo's middle name, so that's
Hey,
probably
that
where that
makes
comes from. That's
sense.
not, I just made all of that up. That's not true. So, so Officer Dave, our hero. I don't know. I don't know why I said that. So Officer Dave comes back into the police department. He hears the phones ringing and he's looking around and he sees these giant cartoony clown footprints leading into the other room. So he follows them rather, all the way back to the holding cell area, which is now seemingly empty, except that it's not, because there's a few cotton candy corpse cocoons. We know and love those. Delicious
Mhm.
and morbid. Like me. I'm just kidding. That's weird. So Dave approaches and he finds out that these are the guys that were in the cell from before when he like, kind of takes the cotton candy apart. And he's freaked out. So he exits the cell and he goes back in the main area of the station where Jumbo is sitting in Mooney's chair with his back to him. And first he doesn't notice that he's there. But so Jumbo goes to turn around slowly and Dave sees him now and he pulls I love this. I love this scene. He pulls Mooney onto his lap and Mooney has clearly been unalived and his face has a little paint on it in places. And also here he has the puppet lines that are like blood. Um, so that's fun. So
He's become a
he's
marionette.
he is a ventriloquist dummy. So someone has indeed made him into a dummy after all. This is one of my favorite scenes of this whole movie. Jumbo makes Mooney talk. So it's actually Mooney's voice. It's not like a weird clown voice. It's Mooney talking and basically just communicating the message that the clown just wants to kill him and pretty much everyone. The thing that made me laugh, and this is, I don't know if this is funny, but Jumbo pulls his hand from Mooney's back or butt or wherever he had his hand. It's just like up there, like like a ventriloquist, and he just like shakes it. He's like as if he just touched wet paint,
Yeah.
just very nonchalant, just like poof. Um, and he approaches Dave, who fires a gun at him multiple times, but this does nothing. So he finally gets him in the nose. So Dave gets him in the nose, which explodes into confetti.
Hey.
Yay! And this does have an effect because Jumbo kind of spins rapidly and then explodes, right?
So
So
he's dead.
so we have this as a weakness now. We know we have exploited that their nose, which is a weird thing to pick, but it's whatever. So Dave, he's able to finally get through to the state police. They don't believe anything that's happening, but he's tried, right?
I feel like they
So
did believe him though,
I thought they
because
didn't.
no, because when he calls them and he's like, "Look, Mooney's dead," and there's like a break though, and I thought something was happening with the state police. I thought they were getting overrun with clowns too, but I
Ugh,
guess they're a little bit further than Crescent Cove, which is this little town.
yeah.
Um, but when he comes back, he's like, "All right, Dave, we're sending people over." So he never says that he doesn't believe him, and
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
think what made him believe is when he said Mooney's dead. And so at that point, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what you're saying, but you're telling me that another cop is dead.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. So
you
they send
know,
someone. Okay. All
yeah,
right. Well, that's good to know. So they do believe him. So the Terenzi brothers now, we kind of flash over there. Um, they're with Mike and driving to Debbie's, and they're telling Mike that, he's pranking them, whatever. So they come upon this kind of like crazy clown parade where the clowns are just kind of sucking up all the cotton candy cocoons with this large contraption. It's not like a car, it's almost like a Zamboni, but like with
yeah.
something to suck something into it. Um, this is a moment again, like I said, I don't like when they walk creepy and slow. And I know that they have to, like probably for the actors because of their giant clown shoes. Like I get it, but I don't like it. But that's all I have to say about that. I just don't like it. So Debbie, who has been taking the longest shower in the world.
Yo, I literally wrote that. I wrote Debbie's taking the longest shower ever.
In the world. So finally, she grabs his towels to get out of the shower. This is the longest shower ever. So there's another gap. I actually had this in a different place, but like when I reorganized, because it keeps showing like back and forth about her being in the bathroom. I'm like, how long is this bitch in the bathroom?
I
Oh my God.
actually said that she
Yeah.
was in the longest shower longest shower ever earlier when they first flashed that she's still in the
Yep.
shower. I'm like, okay, so they're not saying anything about her, but she's still in the damn shower. All
Yep.
right.
So yeah, so I just put this part together just for the sake of time. Um, because they show her just getting out of the shower, like, oh, finally she's out of the shower. And then they do another scene where they show her in the bathroom, but at least now she got dressed, but she's been in the bathroom this whole time. This whole time.
Yeah.
So um she hears a noise, finally, some action in the bathroom. So she opens the hamper, and here we find some baby killer clowns. They're not fully formed. They have like weird necks, like very long necks.
Yes.
Um, and three more pop out. So one of them pops out from the toilet, which is like extra gross, but whatever. She manages to escape the bathroom just by, just whatever she's doing, throwing things over them so she can jump over. So she hears a knock at the door, and she's like, "Who is it?" Or I don't know if he just volunteers that it's Mike,
Yeah.
right? So she opens the door. She's like, "Oh, thank God." But it's not Mike. It's Slim the clown, everyone's favorite shadow puppet master. Um,
Wait,
so she,
before you go to the next
oh
part, because
yeah.
I just want to say this because I want the next part to just all go together.
Okay. Yeah.
The scene where she's in the bathroom and she opens up the hamper and there's like little baby killer clowns that look like Venus flytraps. Um, that
Yeah.
is actually a reference from the 1984 movie Gremlins because the popcorn grew into evil little creatures.
Uh,
So if you feed them, they grow, basically. I mean,
gremlins are cuter. I'm just gonna say that.
I
Even
yeah.
even when they're in their lizardy for I know they're not lizards, don't come for me. I don't want to hear anything about it. But actual gremlins versus mogwais, they're cuter than killer clowns. That's all. The only point I was trying to make.
I agree.
Um, right? So much cuter. So that's an interesting point. Gremlins. So Debbie, she opens the door. Like I said, Slim is standing there, and she is now concerned, obviously. Um, so what happens is she slams the door and she runs to the window because she's thinking she's going to jump out. She sees though down below four of our clown friends, including my boyfriend Chubby, are down there holding a little trampoline and wearing adorable little fire hats to catch her when she falls. That made me laugh. I thought that was very cute.
With a very small trampoline, the
It's
smallest trampoline
very, it's
ever.
way too small. No one's catching anything on that. Like not even like a cat that's in a tree. So Debbie decides she's not going to jump out of the thing, even though they look like they're trying to be helpful, but they're not. So she kind of runs backwards and she runs right into Slim. He encases her in a balloon, which they tie to their clown car. Of course, you have to have a clown car, and they take off with her in this balloon, right?
Which
Um,
here's the weird thing about the balloon, and I read this on the wiki, so this is what the wiki says. The wiki says that they put certain people, because remember, there are people who go and they're put into the cocoon, you know.
Right.
But for whatever reason, she was put into a balloon, which is different because we've seen other women be put into cocoons, but this is the first time we're seeing the balloon. And apparently, this is so that they can turn her into a female killer clown for sexual purposes, which is apparently something that they've done with other human women. So I found
No.
that to be interesting. And I wonder where they got that from, because you don't get any inkling of that throughout the movie, but that was on the wiki. So
What movie is that a reference from?
who knows?
I don't want any part of that. It's gross. So Mike happens to pull up in time to see them leaving with Debbie in the balloon. Dave, as Mike is in pursuit of the clown car, Dave sees Mike in the ice cream truck. So Mike is then in pursuit of Dave and the nope, backwards. Dave is in pursuit of Mike and the Terenzi brothers, who stop short. He crashes into them. And he's like, "What are you doing? It's stupid." So they all actually get into the ice cream truck together because Mike is like, they have Debbie, so they're going to go after her. And they head to the amusement park where they have guests they are going, because where else are clowns going to go hang out, right? So the clown car drives up to the crazy house attraction where a security guard is hanging out. Now, in true clown car fashion, 5 clowns get out of this tiny clown car. They're all holding pies suddenly, which they throw at the security guard. Now, I don't know where they came from, but they threw like 20 pies at him.
Yeah,
They
he
just
got
kept
pied.
just kept going and going. It was crazy. So then another thing, another movement moment that I enjoyed, they all kind of like pranced into the house like after they didn't do their slow clown walk. They were like, wee, just like this weird prance. But not before Shorty puts a cherry on top of the smoking pie mess that is now the security officer's melty remains, because maybe these pies were made of acid. We don't know, but they make your body melt and you are dead. So Officer Dave and co. pull up in the ice cream truck. Dave is armed with a rifle. They see the pile too, of the pie pile, and they're like, "What is this? Melted ice cream?" But then they see that there's a skeleton arm in it. So no, it's not ice cream. So it was also like a very cheap skeleton hand, which I thought was funny.
Yes.
Like it looked like the dollar store, like the Party City like skeleton arm. Um, so the guys all head to the crazy house attraction. They make their way through and they start seeing some more killer clown-esque contraptions, like their stripy pipes. They find a red button. Um, the Terenzi brothers immediately trigger some kind of like booby trap, and they fall into another room and into like a ball pit. They fall right into it. Well, Mike and Dave continue without them because they're like, they do stuff like this, whatever. So we see that sitting on the edge of the ball pit are 2 lady clowns. One of them has rapidly expanding boobs. Do you notice that?
Like,
It was just
yeah,
like whoop, like
that's what I wrote. I said two female killer clowns with one growing boobs. Um,
yeah.
I guess that's because earlier on, when Mike had to persuade them to take him to Debbie's, they were like, "Oh, does she have roommates?" And they were like, "Yeah, with the big boobs, right?" So
So
I'm guessing that killer clown was like, he likes boobs. I
did
almost
they
said
he
bikini.
manifested it?
Maybe.
He manifested it. Um, and these guys, they're so dopey, and they were like, "Oh, are you guys W's roommates?" Like
Right.
they're clearly
What?
clowns, like
And they
whatever.
have the same bloaty, ugly faces as all the other clowns.
Yeah.
So,
I will say in their defense, who among us has not dated a clown in the past? That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. Sometimes we fall for it, you guys. It happens. It happens to the best of us. So Mike and Dave are now back in an area that looks very familiar to what we saw inside the tent the first time. So Mike's like, "Oh, I know where we are," and he kind of heads for those weird elevator type, like kind of pod doors, and he hits the button, and they find themselves back in the cotton candy cocoon room. So they look for Debbie. My boyfriend Chubby appears in the doorway and he drags his very bottom heavy self. I would say he's probably an apple shape, right? To some
yes.
cocoons. He is heavily apple shaped. Um, and it's funny because he's like squeezing the cocoons and like smelling them.
Seeing if they're ripe.
Yeah, and then he takes out a crazy straw. You guys know what a crazy straw is, right? Like from our childhood where it's like the long, elaborate straw that you would put in something to make juice more exciting or whatever. So he actually sticks it into one of the cocoons and he just sucks out all the blood. And then when he's done, he
Yeah.
just walks away though. Like it's just like, all right, well, I just needed a drink. Now it's over.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that is a reference from the 1976 movie Blood Sucking Freaks. Apparently there's a straw scene in that movie. Um, so yeah, I haven't seen that movie,
you
so
know
I
what?
don't
I
know.
haven't seen that movie, but with a name like Blood Sucking Freaks, I would say it lines up perfectly. So
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. So after he leaves, Chubby, my boyfriend, Mike and Dave resume their search for Debbie. They find her in her balloon, but they can't break it. So Dave ultimately shoots the balloon, which does break it and frees Debbie. The three of them begin their escape. So Dave wants to see if there's anyone else they can save, but Spiky and Bibbo show up and hop creepily over in their direction so they don't have time. So they go back into the weird elevator pod where two other clowns whose names we don't care about run up. We've never seen them before in this movie. Like, it's stupid. We don't need to know about them. We don't care. Dave manages to explode them into confetti because I'm imagining he's bonking them on the nose or whatever's happening. So basically, now it's just the three of them trying to escape and navigate. While clowns we have met throughout the movie try to chase them down. The three amigos slide down a pink fire pole. And they find some kind of creature at the bottom that looks like the Beetlejuice sandworm. Did you
Yeah.
notice that?
Yeah.
I was like, where? And this movie was before Beetlejuice too, so maybe Beetlejuice stole it from Killer Clowns. Who
Who knows?
knows?
That might be the reference in Beetlejuice.
Who knows? They all manage to avoid it though, so they're fine and they continue on their path. So there's basically a maze of just like clownish things, right? There's like a bunch of balloons, there's doors that lead to more doors, like smaller doors, and all while some clowns are advancing on them. A few of them I noticed, they looked like they had those hard plastic, almost like Winnie the Pooh-esque masks
Yeah.
that don't move, like they don't move at all. Um, and I even noted, I was like, I guess more good masks weren't in the budget. Like they just ran out of budget and they were like, shit, someone go to some party store and buy some hard plaster shit. I
Well,
don't know,
I
you
guess
know.
if they're only going to be in this scene and that other I call it the clown funeral, but yes, the clown parade. Because it was like a wake. It was like a walking wake.
Clown funeral.
But like if you're only going to be in those two scenes, you don't have to have something good. Just slap something on.
I just want to go on record as saying, don't sign me up for a clown funeral. Like, I just want to put that into the air because I don't, that sounds terrible. So they get into this big room, another big room. There's so many big rooms, and they're trapped, and they have a circus type platform. Um, and they climb up on it. So the three of them and a ton of clowns, like more clowns than we've seen this entire movie, are just advancing on them and trying to climb up. And they have weapons, and it's not looking good for our friends here.
Which
So,
which why this is, I always talk about horror movie 101. If you know, there's always going to be a stupid moment where the people climb up or go upstairs or they go someplace where they are going to be trapped. Like,
yep.
I guess you're just prolonging the inevitable, getting on top of this. It looked like a pie, not a pie, it looked like a three-tier cake.
Yeah, and it was very big. But like I feel like in that scenario, because there really wasn't anywhere else for them to go. There wasn't
I,
anywhere.
I'm not climbing up on top of that thing. I'm just,
You're like,
if you're
my
gonna get me,
last
you're gonna get me.
moments are not going to be spent climbing this thing. I get it. I understand. So at this moment, the Terenzi brothers burst through the wall in their ice cream truck. They are covered in lipstick marks, might I add. Just gonna throw that out there. But the girls aren't with them anymore, the clown ladies. So they start speaking through the microphone, like their speaker system. And they're kind of hoping, I guess, like they're making it act as if the clown on top of it is speaking to this horde of clowns. What is a group of clowns called, by the way? I wonder if there's like a name for that,
That's interesting. I
like a
don't know.
murder of clowns, like
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 a crow.
crows.
That'd be interesting. I don't
um,
know. Let me see.
just interesting, just curious about that. So they're trying to get the clowns to listen to them, and the clowns all become seemingly mesmerized by this, and they all freeze in place, and they're actually listening. So Mike, Debbie, and Dave take this opportunity to kind of run to the truck, and they can't get it to start. Oh, what is it? I saw the look on your face.
A group of clowns is called a clown alley.
Oh, I don't want a clown alley. I'm okay. That's okay. You could keep it.
It's also called a pitfall. No, I'm sorry, a pratfall, a shudder, or a giggle of clowns.
Oh, I hate that so much more. A giggle of bleh. I can't even hide. I was just making such an awful face. I was like, oh gosh. So that's gonna be my nightmare tonight. Just like a giggle of clowns. Just as a reminder, I have mentioned my phobias in the past on this podcast. I'm gonna do it again. And I know you're like, oh no, Megan, you share your trauma with us all the time again. And yes, again, I don't like clowns. I don't like spiders. I don't like clowns. So
And
just a
and
refresher.
let me just remind you that she has chosen to review both of
I
these
did.
movies fully.
Well,
Okay.
do you want to know
So
a secret? I'm wearing a Killer Clowns from Outer Space shirt right now. So I just want to put that out there as well.
she's a
I'm
glutton for
I'm
punishments.
I am a little bit of a masochist. I think I have mentioned that before on here as well. But you know, sometimes you have to embrace the things that scare you. Um, I'm okay watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If I saw them in person, would I be okay? I don't I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. Anyway, back to the Killer Clowns. So the clowns, again, just to recap, because we took a little bit of a left, they are mesmerized, they freeze in place, and Mike and Debbie and Dave, they got in the ice cream truck. So the clowns all of a sudden are like looking up and something's happening, right? So they're all moving away from where they were standing, which is like by that platform that like you were kind of saying like a cake, like a three-tiered cake.
Yeah.
So a giant marionette clown descends from the ceiling.
Which I don't know if it was supposed to be marionette
It
or if
wasn't, it was only for a moment.
yeah. So it
It
was just
only
like let's
came down, yeah, it came down on strings for some reason, which seem unnecessary if you're going to cut the strings or take them off. I don't know what happened. Um, and it comes down. And it just to give you an idea, so the other clowns that we said they're like 7 feet tall, they're very big. This clown is like 3 to 5 times the size of the other one. So it's like the big granddaddy clown. It's crazy.
when you hear
That
his name, you'll understand the size.
Clownzilla. His name is Clownzilla,
There you go.
which is literally the stuff of my actual nightmares. I'm not okay. So he is
Go
like we
ahead.
said, he gets cut from the strings and he's pounding on the ice cream truck with the brothers inside it.
I just figured something out.
Oh, what is it?
I made my own connection here. Okay. So I don't know if you guys know. I'm so I well, if you guys watch like Godzilla, Kong, any of that world over there, you know that when like one like beast senses another beast, it will show up to claim that area like, hey, this is my area. So
Oh.
since the clown that was on top of the ice cream truck was named Jojo. And so since Jojo was here telling them like leave them alone, don't do anything,
Oh.
Clownzilla, sensing that another like alpha was commanding the clowns, decided to come destroy Jojo. I didn't even think about that until just now when I put it together with Clownzilla. I like Godzilla. I like Kong more, but I really do like following
I like
that
one of
world.
my cat's middle names is Godzilla. So I
Hey.
like Godzilla just fine. But why does there have to be a Clownzilla? Right? Like just why? So but that's very interesting. That's a very astute observation, I'll say. So the clown I was gonna say the clown, but it's Clownzilla. I'll just refer to it by his government name, I guess. Clownzilla is pounding on the truck. And where is it? Here we go. He throws it across the room, like I said, but it explodes. So he's exploded the ice cream truck. Mike and Dave and Debbie had gotten out just a few minutes before, so they're okay. Clownzilla runs at them, which I cannot imagine anything more terrifying, except for arachnophobia. Please see that episode several back. But they locate a hole in the wall and they make it out. So they're
Well,
okay.
Mike and Debbie make it out.
Right. So Mike and Debbie make it out. And Dave is like, you have to go, and he's going to kind of distract the clowns so they can make their great escape. So while Clownzilla and Dave are facing off under the big tub, the structure starts to spin. So Mike and, I was going to say Dave, but Dave's inside, Debbie are outside seeing this happen. They see it kind of come out of the ground. They're seeing it spin as all the state police kind of roll up. So now they have backup and such. And we see when it does lift off, I don't know if I just said this because my memory is terrible. We see that it's shaped like a spinning top, which is interesting. So it's not just like a tent, it was like in under the ground. Um, and Dave manages, he's being clutched by Clownzilla in his giant hand. He manages to bust Clownzilla's nose. So he explodes, and so does the whole spinning top structure, but into beautiful fireworks. So that's fun. A clown car falls from the sky in front of Mike and Debbie and a bunch of other cops, like I said, who they're all sitting there now. So Dave actually climbs out. He's okay. Very exciting. And guess who else is in the clown car? The Terenzi brothers. They have made it out as well. As they look into the sky and wonder if it's all over, pie falls down on all of their faces. The end. That's the movie.
Yeah.
That's the movie. So that's a lot. I just need everyone to just absorb that. Just absorb the movie for a moment. While you are absorbing that, and before we get into kind of our thoughts and feelings, I want to just let you guys know about some things I found on the internet. The internet is a magical place, as we all know. So I actually went looking for the DVD on Amazon. Now, I don't need to buy the DVD because, you could just watch it on any streaming service pretty much. But I just wanted to see if they even offered it or what the art looked like or if it was hard to find or whatever. And I actually looked at some of the reviews. So I thought people were going to be reviewing like the DVD, like the quality, whatever. No such luck. What I found was so much better. So I'm just going to read you some of these reviews. J.N. Vernon, and you wrote this publicly, sir, so whatever, you got problems, take it up with my attorney. 3 stars. Most of these are 3-star reviews. He writes, watch this with pizza and 6 cans of Stella. The more you eat and drink, the funnier it gets. I'm willing to try that. Maybe we'll make it tacos, but
I
that's
believe
okay.
that. I believe that.
This person, B. Smith, writes, not bad, but don't take it seriously. Who is taking Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Even the title, like, does not indicate
Right.
seriousness, This one, by Aaron N. writes, a horror film for the kids. It says,
Well,
it says, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a good horror film for the kids because in is mild violence, but still has some great scenes. And I'm just like, I disagree. I don't think this is a good film for kids. So I will throw in, because we're trauma bonding again, that this was one of the movies that I watched as a child against my will, around the time I saw Arachnophobia. And I'm confident that this is one of the reasons I've had a lifelong fear of clowns. Now, because I was 5 years old. Do you know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, yeah.
I went through until I was like 21 before I watched this movie again. Because I was like, I'm an adult. Let's see what it's all about. Because I had memories of it. It was burned into my brain, right? And I watched it and I was like, this is a silly movie. This isn't scary at all, right? So children, no. Let's wait. Let's wait a little bit. Let's get maybe 12 years old, you know?
I don't know if I would have been scared if I saw this as a child. I first saw this as a very, very grown adult, at a very advanced age. And so
A very
and
advanced
a
age.
very advanced age. And so this is my second time seeing it. And you know, as a child, maybe I would have been scared, but I don't think so. Like I told y'all before, I was scared of ET. Okay. So I don't
Well,
know if this would have scared me,
so
but
I'm
I
saying
I don't think it's a kids movie.
no, but like, so think about if you're 5, right? If you're 5, like I was 5, and you don't really have experience with clowns, probably a
Yeah.
little jarring, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
familiar with clowns or the circus or whatever, you know. Um, so this person, Joe, just Joe, that's all it says Joe, writes, I felt bad for the clowns. He goes on to say, I think they were just misunderstood. Their only reason for killing all the humans was because they wanted to. Joe, Joe, if you're out there, I hope you are because I'm worried about you. Are you okay? I really want to know. I'm concerned. What does that mean?
Joe was with the first guy drinking all the Stella and eating the pizza.
He wrote this in 2018, and it's like, I just hope you got whatever help that you needed, Joe, to like overcome siding with the killer clowns. I just,
I
um,
mean, I don't feel bad for the clowns, but I can understand like they only came here to do what they thought they were supposed to do, which was kill humans.
yeah, of course, I
So,
get it. I get that.
you know,
So, Edward, again, all 3 stars. He wrote, so bad it made my brain hurt. So funny. Okay. Um, Elwood J. Anaheim, which is a very fancy name, writes, well made, but stupid. Now, I'm going to disagree. Was it well made? Was it?
I'm gonna say for the time we have to remember and take into account the time that it came out though.
Oh, yeah.
For the time, I would say yes, it was well made. Even with the goofs, I still think it was a well made movie. And I will say the main clowns, they had moving
They
faces,
did. They did. So
which is
here,
better than Winnie the Pooh, which came out in 2022,
it was
2021.
so much better than Winnie the Pooh. And here's what I'm going to say. Even though it's not, I'm still talking about these reviews. I like this movie. There's a lot of nostalgia in it for me. It's incredibly schlocky, but I like that about it. I like that about it. That's kind of like I don't want to say it's my brand, but like it's more goofy. Like it qualifies as a horror movie, but it is goofy. It's not a
Mhm.
goofy movie, by the way. That's a whole other thing. So Amos Obsessed writes, yawn, waste of money, unless your taste in movies are a waste. And I just want to invite you to fight me. That's all. Amos Obsessed. I invite you to fight me. Rolene writes, was okay, kind of dumb though. And I get it. I get it. But I don't know. I was entertained by the reviews. So I just wanted to share some of the gems. There was a lot more, but I just was like, some of these are very funny. And Joe, I'm still worried about Joe. So hopefully he's okay wherever he is. Um, but yeah, so this is your second time watching this movie. Tell me all your thoughts and feelings.
Well, I'll say this. This is not my kind of movie. It wasn't my kind of movie the first time I watched it. It's still not my kind of movie. I'm not the type, I don't like anything funny, to be quite honest. I'm not into comedies. Horror comedy is not the movie I'm going to reach for.
Sure.
Um, so, you know, I'm just like, But I will say this. I think that this movie and I always have to look at when it was made.
Yes,
Because
of
if I'm
course.
comparing it to stuff now, of course I'm going to be like, but for when it was made in the 80s and everything like that, it fit the times and the movies that were coming out. I think
Yeah.
of movies like Evil Dead and, you know, other movies similar to that, right?
Yes.
Um, that are, as you said, schlocky,
Schlocky.
and a little
Yes.
campy and stuff like that. And I think
Yes.
that it fits so well, um, because of that. And I think it's a cult classic. It's a niche movie,
Absolutely.
or niche. I didn't check to
I
say how to
say I
pronounce
say
it.
niche. I don't
I say
know.
niche too, but I've
Maybe
heard
we're
people say
wrong.
niche. I don't know.
Well, we
I
can
think the
invite
people saying
them.
niche are wrong.
We can invite them to fight us as well, since
You
we're
want to
fighting
fight
people
tonight?
today. I'm wearing my Killer Clown shirt. I'm ready to go. We could do like a
Yeah.
shorty, like,
Knocking
I did
blocks on.
Tybo, so I just like, you don't want to mess
Hey.
with me, Tybo, with Billy Blanks. So just
But yeah,
whatever.
I think that for what they were trying to accomplish, it was an original story.
I'll say.
You know, and I don't think that all the acting was bad at all. The only person I really did not like was Mooney. His acting to me, like that acting in general, I just thought he was like over the top for no reason. Like, you really think people care about you this much that the whole town is going to pretend that there are clowns around? Like, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think he's actually I don't know too much about him, but I think he's the most known actor from that movie. Like he's
mhm,
done the most other things and
yeah.
whatever and yeah. But I asked you, I'm gonna ask you again because I just think it's funny. Did you have a favorite clown?
No. I absolutely did not. No.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you like this movie, I really do want to know this too. I want to know who your favorite clown was. Most people I have spoken to, I don't know, I'm doing like the politician hand when I'm speaking right now. Most people I have spoken to have said that Shorty is their favorite. Now, Shorty, like we know Chubby, my heart belongs to Chubby, you know. Um, but I want to know if other people have a favorite. I had a weird thing about the clowns with like weird shaped heads. I found like off-putting, like extra. I mean, I don't like clowns in general, but just like Rudy's head in particular just made me uncomfortable. Like, I don't know. I didn't like it, but
Yeah.
I do, I don't know. I think I do like horror comedies. Not all of them, but this one I liked. Like, I don't like when something's supposed to be serious and they ruin it with comedy because that happens
Oh,
sometimes.
like The Visit, which was a
That
horror comedy by M. Night Shyamalan.
that was not, wait, my cat is like in the corner. Did you just hear him
I
screaming?
did. I did. I saw him creeping by.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening right now. Um, I still don't think The Visit was funny. It confuses me so much where they're like, this is a comedy. I'm like, no, this to me, this is a horror comedy. The Visit is just weird and kind of messed up and creepy. I don't get the comedy part. It doesn't, that part never occurred to me. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I like this movie. I like the Killer Clowns theme song by the Dickies, um, which starts with like circus music, by the way, because you know your
Yes.
typical like big top sounds. I don't know. I enjoy the nostalgia. I've watched it several times ever since discovering it wasn't a scary movie. Um, Also speaking, so this shirt that I'm wearing that I flashed everyone with before, I like a few months ago, I was walking in a local shopping center. A man actually stopped me and he was like, "Oh, killer clowns." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "From outer space." And I was like, "Well, where else would they be from?" Like,
Right.
yes, of course. And he was like, "I love your shirt." My wife wouldn't though. And I was like, "I'm learning too much about you as a person, but thank you. Thank you so much." Like, I don't need to know. But it's funny because they are recognized
Oh
and
yeah.
recognizable, even if people maybe haven't seen it before. They've seen like a picture, like they know of it,
Yes.
even if it didn't appeal to them to maybe like watch.
I was one of those people. I had never before I actually saw the movie at my advanced age. Um I recognized them. I've had seen them plenty of times. I've seen them on like, paraphernalia. I went to horror cons. I saw pop vinyls. I saw a lot of them. So
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, I'm used to it. But I had not actually seen the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I am curious though, because like, I've said before, we've gone to Monster Mania before, and we have some people, you know who you are, who dress up as killer clowns, but they look like the regular kinds of killer clowns, I guess I'll say, like the human kind. So I am curious though, if someone ever went all out and did like a full out cosplay, would it send me running for the hills? Because as you remember, because you were with me, the killer clowns that we saw activated my fight or flight. And
Yes.
and actually for my freeze as well, because I froze. I was like, so I'm just curious. I would like to put that to the test. We can hopefully find one or two. That would be cool. I'm with
I would
that.
love that.
But
That
yeah,
sounds amazing.
I mean, I don't think we have like a really in-depth like I loved it because this and the cinematography, like it's not that movie, guys. Like it's not. Um, it's cheesy, it's goofy, the effects are wacky, the story has a little hole here and there and whatever, but I still like it. So, how many do you how many bloody axes are you gonna give this movie?
So You just said we don't have that stuff like it's cinematography, but I do have one
Oh
aspect, one or
no.
two.
I just meant like deep. It's
Oh
not like
yeah,
a
no, it's
deep.
not deep. It's not deep.
It's not
But
deep.
I will say if like I found all those little things where they were referencing other movies, if they actually were taking the time to really reference these other movies and try to fit them in their own way, kudos to them for making those connections like that.
Yeah.
Kudos to them making the Clownzilla reference that nobody talked about in my research, but I
Yeah.
figured it out.
Yeah, you did.
So I really, really like that. And also, honestly, I think that they really were trying to do something different and interesting and just have a good time with it. You know, I honestly, I think I like it. I like it pretty good. So I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm giving it 5 bloody X's. I like it. And the only reason I'm giving it 5 is because I don't like comedy.
I just
So
think it's funny. I don't know. I think it's funny to say, I like it. I like it. I'm gonna give it 5. But like it seemed like it was gonna be a little higher than that. But that's funny. Okay, so 5. So
yeah.
for me, I almost feel like I don't because I feel like I'm a little biased towards this movie because it's from my childhood. Um, and
You could be biased.
it shaped my phobias, and informed many life decisions. I want to give it a 7.5. My love for it is like an 9.5, but just based on the actual movie and like being fair to it, do you know what I mean? And like the effects and so on.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable at a 7.5.
You know what? If I'm doing it like that, because I don't have much nostalgia, but because I knew of the clowns and everything prior to actually ever seeing the movie, I do kind of feel connected to the clowns, to a certain extent. It's funny because I was going between 7 and 5. And I went more 5 because I was thinking like technical and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But if I go by like just the feeling I get, because I would I reach for this movie again? No. But
right.
if I was at somebody's house and they wanted to watch it, or if it was on somewhere, I would watch it, and I would have a
Yeah,
good time with it. So, I mean, I could give it's going to be a sliding range today.
yeah,
We're going to
yeah.
slide from 7 to 5 for me.
That's totally fine. So a few weeks ago, I don't think I mentioned this before, but we have a year-round horror or like Halloween store that kind of just opened up over here. It's not like a chain or anything. And when I went in and I was investigating the store for the first time, when I got to the register area, their TV was on and they were playing a movie, and the movie they were playing was Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it gave me a little thrill because I like that. I was like, oh, and I think it was some scene with Mooney. I actually took a video on my phone of it, but I was like, oh my God. And they had some like little fun impulse buys and stuff up at the front.
Did they
So
have anything with the goat man?
guys, I can't. This episode is gonna be so long. Listen, this is what I'm gonna say. Everyone has a regional cryptid. That sounds weird coming out of nowhere. I understand. I understand. Some people have Mothman. Some people have Sasquatch. Yetis count, I think. We got chupacabras. We got all kind of
Skinwalkers,
yeah,
yeah.
all kind of things. I feel like the goat man is the worst cryptid. And for some reason, and I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, I'm not going to do it, but someone somewhere on Long Island is trying to like make Goatman happen for Long Island. Now, Goatman does not belong to Long Island. Do not kidnap
A
a
cryptid.
cryptid from the Midwest or like Arizona or wherever he's from and transplant him to Long Island. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It
Hmm.
really irritates me. And if we're gonna try to steal anyone, can we please steal Mothman because he's the best, as you can see from him sitting in the corner quietly over here at this whole time.
Oh,
So,
the goat man is from Prince George's County, Maryland. Interesting.
okay, well, that still has nothing to do with Long Island.
No,
I thought he
it's
was from
it's
somewhere
much
else, but
it's
so
much further from Long Island.
no. And I just think of like Pan. You know what I mean? Like the you know,
Yes.
I just stop. Just please stop. So that's I like I said, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but I hate it. I hate everything you're doing and stop it right now. So That's all I'm gonna say about that in my Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Do you have any other I don't have anything else to add. Do you? Anything?
No, I guess we can wrap it on up
Let's
here.
wrap it up.
All right. So thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Horror Ghouls podcast. And we do hope you enjoyed this circus freak show. And if you have any spooky theories, thoughts, or movies you'd like us to discuss, as always, you can let us know on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram at the Horror Ghouls. Please don't forget to follow and subscribe for more thrilling analyses and maybe some creepy discussions here and there.
A
Uh,
little bit, just a
yeah.
little bit.
So until next time, stay spooky, keep the darkness close, and the next time you go to a circus, skip the cotton candy and make sure you check the popcorn for teeth.
Oh, teeth. All right. Bye. See you next time.
Bye.